I am 70 years old now. My hair has turned the color of early morning fog, and my hands carry lines that no cream, no lotion, no miracle product can erase. These lines are not just from age, no. They are from years of holding, cooking, cleaning, praying, wiping tears, and sometimes hiding my own pain so others wouldn't see it. Every evening without fail, I sit by the same window in my small house here in this quiet neighborhood. The chair creaks when I pull it closer. The window frame is cold, but oh so familiar. I sit there not because I am tired, but because I am waiting. Waiting has become my daily routine. At exactly 6 in the evening, the sun begins to lower itself, as if even it is exhausted by the day. The street outside grows quieter. Children run home from the park. Garage doors close with that metallic sound. Somewhere a microwave beeps. Somewhere else laughter spills out of a house that is not mine. And I sit by my window looking at the road, waiting for footsteps that never reach my door. I tell myself I am only watching the sunset. But deep inside I know I am watching for someone. Once this house was never silent. There was a time, goodness gracious, when my evenings were noisy and chaotic. Toys lay scattered across the entire floor. Backpacks were thrown carelessly near the door. The TV volume was always too loud. Someone was always asking for something. Juice boxes, snacks, help with homework, help with life. I used to complain back then, Lord knows I did. I used to say I never got a moment to myself. I didn't know that silence was waiting patiently for me in the future, like an uninvited guest who eventually moves in permanently. Back then my window stayed closed. I was too busy living. I was married at 18. Can you believe that? 18. I didn't even know what marriage truly meant, but I learned quickly. I learned how to adjust my dreams to fit someone else's expectations. I learned how to stretch a paycheck until the end of the month, honey. I learned how to wake up before everyone else and sleep after everyone else. I learned how to smile even when my heart felt heavy, like it was carrying stones. My husband was a good man, not perfect but sincere. He didn't say much, typical man, but his presence filled the house. When he came home from work at the factory, the air felt different, safer, fuller, complete. When he sat beside me in the evenings, we didn't talk much. We didn't need to. Silence between two people who love each other feels warm. Silence alone? It feels cold, like winter wind cutting through your bones. We raised our children with everything we had. I fed them first, even when food was less. I packed their lunches with love notes tucked inside. I stayed up until midnight helping with science projects and book reports. I drove them to soccer practice, piano lessons, birthday parties. I skipped buying new clothes for myself so they could have the latest sneakers. I told myself this was life. This was love. And it was. But nobody, and I mean nobody, tells you what happens after. Time is strange. One day you are running behind toddlers in diapers, and the next day you are watching grown adults walk away with suitcases, heading to airports, heading to their own lives. College, careers, marriages, cities far away, California, New York, Texas. Life pulled my children in different directions. I understood. Or at least I told myself I did. I smiled during those FaceTime calls. I said I was fine. I said I didn't need anything. I said that because I didn't want to be a burden. The worst thing an old person can be in America, it seems. My husband fell ill quietly. He didn't complain much either, stubborn man. We are from a generation that believed pain should be swallowed, not spoken. I sat beside his hospital bed at St. Mary's, holding his hand, telling him stories from our younger days. I told him about the first apartment we lived in, about the nights when we could barely afford groceries, about how we survived everything together. He listened with half-closed eyes and smiled weakly. That smile I'd loved for 50 years. The day he died, the house changed. People came, oh yes. Relatives cried. Neighbors brought casseroles and sympathy. Cards arrived in the mail. Flowers wilted on the kitchen counter. And then slowly, like snow melting in spring, everyone left. One by one. Just like that. The casserole dishes got returned. The cards got filed away. Life moved on. For them. The house became too big for one person. After his death, evenings became unbearable. Nights were worse. I would reach out to the other side of the bed without thinking, only to touch emptiness. Cold sheets. Nothing. I stopped sleeping properly. I stopped cooking elaborate meals like pot roast and apple pie. What is the point of making 3 dishes when there is only 1 plate on the table? 1 fork. 1 knife. 1 napkin. That is when I started sitting by the window. At first it was just to distract myself, you know? I would watch people pass by on evening walks. I would observe small things. The way a mother scolds her child for running into the street. The way an old couple walks slowly holding hands like teenagers. The way dogs sleep peacefully on porches. Slowly. Watching turned into waiting. Sometimes I imagine footsteps. Sometimes I think I hear a car pulling into the driveway. My heart jumps for a second, foolish and hopeful. Then reality settles back in like fog. The road remains empty. The driveway stays vacant. The doorbell does not ring. My phone lies on the table beside me. It's one of those new smartphones my son set up for me. I don't like checking it too often, makes me feel desperate. Still, my eyes move towards it every few minutes. No missed calls. No text messages. No little notification bubbles. I tell myself they are busy. I tell myself not to disturb them during their workday. I tell myself I am strong. But strength feels different at 70. Strength now is waking up, even when you don't feel needed. Strength is cooking oatmeal even when nobody asks what you made. Strength is surviving days that look exactly the same breakfast, same TV shows, same view from the window. Strength is smiling when neighbors ask, "Do your kids visit often?" with that pitying look in their eyes. I usually nod. What else can I do? Tell them the truth? Tell them my daughter hasn't visited in 8 months? Tell them my son calls once a week for exactly 10 minutes, always distracted, always with one eye on his computer screen? Tell them that my grandchildren, those beautiful babies I used to rock to sleep, don't even know my middle name? Sometimes, memories visit me instead of people. I remember my daughter's laughter when she was little, that pure, unfiltered joy. I remember my son falling asleep on my shoulder during long car rides to Disney World. I remember school functions where I was the loudest parent cheering. I remember birthdays with homemade cakes, Christmases with presents wrapped in paper we saved and reused, 4th of July barbecues in the backyard. I remember arguments, apologies, hugs. These memories sit beside me on the chair, keeping me company. But memories cannot pour tea. Memories cannot say, "How are you today, Mom?" Memories cannot hold your hand when you're scared in the middle of the night. The window has become my witness. It has seen my tears roll down my wrinkled cheeks. It has seen my smiles when I remember the good times. It has seen me grow older year by lonely year. It has seen my back bend slightly more each season. It has seen my hope arrive every evening at 6 o'clock and leave silently by nightfall, like a visitor who knows they're not welcome to stay. Sometimes neighbors' children wave at me. Little Emma from across the street. The Thompson boy who rides his bike past my house. I wave back. I smile. That small gesture, that tiny human connection, keeps me alive a little longer. It reminds me I still exist. There are days when I talk to myself. I tell myself stories out loud just to hear a human voice. I laugh at my own jokes, even though they're not funny anymore. I scold myself for forgetting where I put my reading glasses. I reassure myself that tomorrow will be better. Old age teaches you many things, but the hardest lesson is learning how to be your own company, your own friend, your own everything. Festivals are the hardest. Oh honey, don't get me started on the holidays. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. The holiday that's supposed to be about family and gratitude and togetherness. Every year, I see it coming like a storm on the horizon. The grocery stores fill up with turkeys and cranberry sauce. The TV shows nothing but commercials of happy families gathered around perfect tables. Pinterest-worthy decorations. Norman Rockwell paintings come to life. And what do? I set the table anyway. Every Thanksgiving without fail, I pull out the good china from the cabinet. The plates my mother gave me when I got married. I wash them carefully, even though they're already clean. I set 6 places at the table. 1 for me. 1 for each of my children. 1 for each of my grandchildren. I fold napkins the fancy way I learned from a magazine. I put out the gravy boat, the serving spoons, the salt and pepper shakers shaped like pilgrims. I cook a full meal. Not the easy way, no. I do it the traditional way. I thaw a 12-pound turkey days in advance. I make stuffing from scratch with sage and celery. I peel potatoes until my hands ache. I make green bean casserole, sweet potato pie, cranberry sauce from actual cranberries. I bake rolls that fill the house with that warm, yeasty smell. I set out butter in the fancy dish. I do all of this even though I know nobody is coming. A week before Thanksgiving, the calls start. Well, the texts start because nobody calls anymore. Mom, so sorry, but we're doing Thanksgiving with Sarah's family this year. Mom, the kids have a soccer tournament that weekend. Mom, flights are just too expensive right now. Mom, maybe Christmas? Maybe Christmas. And I say, of course, honey. I understand. You have your own life. Don't worry about me. Because that's what mothers do. We make it easy for them to leave. We don't want them to feel guilty. We don't want to be the nagging old woman who makes them feel bad. So Thanksgiving Day arrives. I wake up at 5 in the morning, just like I used to when the house was full. I put the turkey in the oven. I start preparing the side dishes. I set the table with trembling hands. I light candles. I put on my nice dress, the purple one with the flowers. I do my hair. I even put on lipstick. By 3 o'clock, everything is ready. The table looks beautiful, like a magazine spread. The food is still hot. Steam rises from the dishes. The house smells incredible. Like Thanksgiving is supposed to smell. Like home. I sit down at my place. I look at the 5 empty chairs. And I eat my Thanksgiving dinner alone. I try to be grateful. I say a prayer thanking God for my health, for this food, for the roof over my head. I try not to cry into my mashed potatoes. I take a bite of turkey. It tastes like ashes. Not because I cooked it wrong, but because food tastes different when you eat it in silence. After dinner, I pack up the leftovers. Containers and containers of food. Enough to feed a family. I eat turkey sandwiches for the next week. I give some to the mailman. I give some to the neighbor's kids. I throw some away when it goes bad because there's only so much one old woman can eat. And the table. I leave it set for a few days. The 6 plates. The 6 forks. The 6 napkins. I leave it as proof. Proof that I tried. Proof that I'm still here. Proof that I still believe in family, even when family doesn't believe in me. Christmas is the same. I buy presents and wrap them in pretty paper with bows. I put up a tree, a small one now because I can't manage the big one anymore. I hang stockings on the mantle. I address Christmas cards in my shaky handwriting. I bake cookies, chocolate chips, snickerdoodle, sugar cookies shaped like stars. I mail packages to California, to New York, to Texas. Inside are hand-knitted scarves I made while watching TV. Toys for grandchildren I barely know. Gift cards because I don't know what they like anymore. Cards that say, "Miss you. Love, Mom," with my phone number written at the bottom, as if they might have forgotten it. Sometimes they call on Christmas. "Merry Christmas, Mom." Quick. Rushed. Kids screaming in the background. "Thanks for the gifts. We'll open them later. Gotta go, turkey's burning. Love you." Click. And I sit by my little tree with its blinking lights, holding the phone, wishing the call had lasted just a little longer. Easter, Mother's Day, my birthday. They all blend together now. Mother's Day is particularly cruel. The day when everyone celebrates mothers. When restaurants are packed with families taking mom out for brunch. When flower shops sell out of bouquets. When social media fills with posts saying, "Best mom ever," and pictures of 3 generations smiling together. I get a text. "Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Love you." Sometimes with a flower emoji. Sometimes with a heart. Digital love. The modern way to show you care without actually caring enough to show up. I used to respond immediately. "Thank you, sweetheart. Miss you." But now I wait. I wait a few hours before responding. Not because I'm playing games, but because I want to preserve the feeling that someone was thinking about me. I want to stretch out that tiny moment of connection. My birthday is the loneliest. 70 years on this earth. 70 years of living, loving, sacrificing, surviving. And how do I celebrate? I buy myself a small cake from the grocery store. The bakery lady asks, "How many candles?" I say, "None." Because who wants to be reminded they're 70? Because who wants to blow out candles when there's nobody to wish you happy birthday in person? I eat a slice of cake. I sing happy birthday to myself, quietly, so the neighbors don't hear and think I've lost it. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear nobody. Happy birthday to me. And then I cry. I cry for all the birthdays I celebrated for them, the themed parties I threw, the homemade cakes with their names and frosting, the presents I saved up for, the joy on their faces. And now I get a Facebook post, a text message, a reminder from their phone calendar. I do not blame my children. I want to make that clear. I do not blame them. Life is heavy for everyone these days. The economy is tough. Jobs are demanding. Kids have activities. Everyone is busy, busy, busy. Hustle culture, they call it. The American dream requires sacrifice. And apparently old mothers are part of that sacrifice. I understand all of that. I do. But understanding does not erase loneliness. It only explains it. There is a difference. You can understand why someone can't visit and still feel the emptiness of their absence. You can forgive them and still feel forgotten. You can love them and still feel unloved. These things exist together like shadows and light. Sometimes I wonder if I failed somewhere. Did I give too much? Did I ask for too little? Did I teach them to be independent but forgot to teach them to look back? Did I raise them to chase their dreams but not to remember where they came from? These thoughts come and go like waves on the shore. I don't hold on to them for too long. They hurt too much. The hardest part is feeling invisible. I walk through this world and nobody sees me. I'm just another old woman at the grocery store, moving slowly through the aisles. Just another elderly person at the doctor's office, waiting for hours. Just another senior citizen that young people ignore, talking over me like I'm not there. When did I become invisible? Was it when my hair turned gray? When my hands developed age spots? When I started walking a little slower? When I could no longer keep up with the fast pace of the modern world? When did I stop being a person and become just old? I see young mothers in the store, chasing toddlers looking exhausted. I want to tell them, enjoy this. These are the good years. But I don't. Because they'll look at me like I'm crazy. Because they're in survival mode, counting down until bedtime. Because they can't imagine a day when they'll miss the chaos. When they'll long for sticky hands and loud voices. Nobody tells you that the hardest part of being a parent isn't the sleepless nights or the terrible twos or the teenage rebellion. The hardest part is when they don't need you anymore. When they grow up and move on and build lives that don't include you. When you go from being the center of their universe to a distant satellite, orbiting their lives from far away. I had a purpose once. I was mom. I was needed. I was important. I was the one who kissed scraped knees and chased away nightmares. I was the one who knew exactly how they liked their sandwiches cut. I was the one who could tell the difference between their cries. I mattered. Now I don't know what my purpose is. Every evening, when the sun disappears completely behind the houses across the street, I close the window slowly. The streetlights flicker on. The road empties of cars. My hope folds itself quietly and sits in the corner of my heart, waiting for the next day. I move back to my bed, my bones aching. I lie down. I stare at the ceiling with its water stain that looks like a butterfly. I tell myself I made it through another day. One more day survived. I keep a list on my refrigerator. It's held up with a magnet shaped like Texas, from a trip we took 30 years ago. The list says, reasons to keep going. I started it on a particularly dark night when I wondered if anyone would even notice if I wasn't here anymore. The list says, maybe tomorrow they'll call. Maybe next month they'll visit. Mrs. Peterson next door needs someone to water her plants when she's away. Who will feed the stray cat that comes to my porch? Maybe my grandchildren will want to know their grandmother someday. Someone has to remember the family stories. I survived 70 years. I can survive one more day. That last one is the most important. One more day. That's all I have to manage. Not the rest of my life. Not next year. Not next month. Just today. Just this one single solitary day. And then tomorrow I'll face tomorrow. If you are listening to this story right now, maybe you are sitting by your own window. Maybe you are waiting too. Waiting for a call that doesn't come. Waiting for a visit that gets postponed. Waiting for someone to remember. Waiting for your children to realize that time is running out. Waiting for your grandchildren to ask about your life before it's too late. Waiting. If that is you, know this. You are not invisible. I see you. I know you're there. Every old person sitting alone in their house. Every grandmother watching TV dinners rotate in the microwave. Every grandfather who talks to his dog because there's nobody else. Every senior who makes their bed with hospital corners even though nobody will see it. Every elder who gets dressed up with nowhere to go. I see you. Your life mattered. You raised children in a world that wasn't always kind. You worked jobs that paid too little. You made sacrifices that nobody counted. You loved when it was hard. You stayed when you wanted to leave. You built a life, a home, a family. That matters. That counts. Your sacrifices mattered. Every meal you cooked. Every fever you worried over. Every game you attended. Every tear you dried. Every homework assignment you helped with. Every sacrifice you made. They shape the people your children became. Even if they don't remember. Even if they don't say thank you. It still mattered. Your love mattered. Even if it feels unreturned right now. Even if it feels one-sided. Even if you feel taken for granted. Your love was real. Your love was pure. Your love was the foundation they built their lives on. They couldn't have become who they are without you. Remember that. And here is the moral of my story, the lesson I want to leave you with. In America, we have this idea that success means independence. We raise our children to be self-sufficient, to need nobody, to stand on their own 2 feet. We tell them, go out and conquer the world. And they do. But somewhere in that message, we forgot to teach them that independence doesn't mean forgetting. That success doesn't mean leaving people behind. That standing on your own 2 feet doesn't mean you can't sometimes walk back to where you came from. We forgot to teach them that family isn't just for childhood. That parents don't stop needing their children just because those children are grown. That love isn't just given from parent to child, but should flow both ways. That honoring thy mother and father isn't just a commandment, it's a responsibility. To the young people listening, let me tell you something. Your parents are getting old. I know you don't want to think about it. I know it's scary. I know you're busy with your own lives. But please, I'm begging you, don't wait until it's too late. That phone call you keep meaning to make it today. That visit you keep postponing? Book it now. That I love you you assume they know? Say it out loud. Time moves faster than you think. One day you'll blink and your mother will be 70, sitting by a window waiting. One day you'll realize that all those times she said, I'm fine. She wasn't. One day you'll want to hear her voice, ask her advice, get her recipe for that dish she made, and she won't be there to answer. And the guilt will eat you alive. Not because you're a bad person, but because you knew. You knew she was waiting. You knew she was lonely. You knew you should call more, visit more, care more. But you were busy. And busy became your excuse until it became your regret. Don't let that happen. To my fellow elders listening, here is what I want you to know. Tomorrow evening, I will sit by the window again. Not because I am weak, no, but because hope, no matter how tired, how beaten down, how disappointed, still shows up. Hope is stubborn like that. Hope doesn't know when to quit. And maybe that makes us foolish. Maybe that makes us pathetic. Or maybe, just maybe, it makes us strong. Strong enough to face another day. Strong enough to set another table. Strong enough to answer the phone with a smile in our voice, even when there are tears on our face. Strong enough to say, "I'm fine," even when we're not. Strong enough to keep loving even when that love isn't returned the way we hoped. And until my last breath, I will keep the window open. Just in case. Because that's what mothers do. We wait. We hope. We love. We keep the porch light on. We keep a key under the mat. We keep their room just the way they left it. We keep believing that someday, they'll come home. And if they don't, well, at least I tried. At least I loved. At least I was there. Waiting, hoping, keeping the window open. That has to count for something, doesn't it? Sweet children, if you take nothing else from my story, remember this: time doesn't wait. Love isn't guaranteed. And tomorrow isn't promised. So pick up that phone. Book that flight. Send that text. Visit while you still can. Because one day that window will close for good. And all the I should haves in the world won't open it again. Now you go on and think about that. And maybe, just maybe, make a call today.